No thank you here, sayer of sayings, doer of doings. And I've got some explaining to do. Video has a bunch of shit going on. You're just gonna kinda need to trust me on this one and stick to it, because it's a little bit schizophrenic, it's a little bit all over the place. You're gonna have to just sort of trust me on this one and stick through it. I had to make this after the fact because I'm convinced that no one's okay, sorry. The monastic order of the Sacred Nothing is a hypothetical breakaway sect of Discordianism, whose core tenet is the belief that luck is the only true force in the universe, every other force being illusory. Yes, every other force. Knowledge, motivation, free will, the strong nuclear force, gravity, the only truth in the universe is luck. I can invent hypothetical religions when I want. This is my YouTube channel, owned by Google.com. The monastic order of the Sacred Nothing believe, well, this may be the first YouTube video ever created with required reading. This video and concept will make much more sense if you know what Discordianism is. Go on to the search bar and look up Principia Discordia PDF and click one of the many links and give it a quick skim, or read it fully if you want to. It will probably help you understand this video. But no thank you, I hear you screaming from the depths of hell. Why not simply explain Discordianism within the context and the YouTube video? And the answer, my friend, is it's really difficult to do that. You kind of just need to read it. It's that sort of thing. You can't really explain it in a YouTube video. It would be like trying to explain House of Leaves. The fact that it's a book is kind of important. You can explain the plot of House of Leaves. I can explain the details of Discordianism, but you kind of need to read it to understand the heart of the issue here. So you should probably go read that now. You don't have to. For the part of the video where I disprove God. But first, some science. Quantum physics. Quantum physics gets complicated. It's so complicated, well, culturally people think it's so complicated that quantum physics is kind of just an analogy for anything that's complicated and jargony and mumbo-jumbo-y. Actually, quantum physics is quite simple. Here's the truth. I pretty much had a vague understanding of quantum physics when I was 12 years old. If I can do it, anyone can, because I'm not that smart. Mum, as I was saying, if you have a really small thing the size of an electron and you want to find out where it is, you would think you can just point to it and say, it's over there, wouldn't you?
Okay.
You can't. It won't be over there.
Because it's everywhere.
No.
What?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But no. It actually exists only as a what's known as a wave function, or you can only really measure the probability that it is in a specific place at a specific time, which doesn't make any sense to our human brains because we are surrounded by classical mechanics and our brains have evolved to understand classical mechanics, and there is no evolutionary need for our monkey brains to understand quantum mechanics, so we find it difficult. If you have an electron and you point to it, it might not be there. It might decide it's somewhere else. And you can calculate the probability that it's there, but you can never calculate exactly where it is.
That's true.
There is always a factor. This is called the uncertainty principle. It's impossible to know. There are two competing interpretations of this provable scientific fact. The Copenhagen interpretation, that the quantum waveform collapses as soon as it's observed, This brings up all sorts of problems. What counts as an observer? Would a waveform collapse if a cat observed it? Would a waveform collapse if a robot observed it? How does consciousness cause a waveform collapse in the first place? It's all around got loads of problems. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation, the many worlds theory. Every time a quantum collapse would happen, the collapse does happen in every single form, and the universe branches into many different universes where every eventuality did in fact take place, and you don't have to do any weird consciousness stuff, but you do have to deal with universes splitting up, and string theory, which I don't understand. Into a big problem with regards to quantum physics. What's this? Why is it different from classical mechanics? Why does it not fit in with Einstein's stuff, like relativity? I don't know, and no, neither does anyone else. And so a bunch of people who are very clever have decided, I'm going to make this the goal of humanity for a while, and that's what they think they're doing. And they're trying to make a unified field theory, which is called that for reasons I don't want to explain right now. Or just a theory of everything, if you want to get the attention of the press. Or quantum gravity, if you want to use something that sounds like it's in Star Trek. And one guy was like, we haven't got quantum gravity theory yet because you're thinking about it the wrong way round. You're trying to put quantum in the non-quantum when you should be thinking of the quantum as the base. And this is the theory that makes the most sense to me, despite not understanding any of the underlying maths, because I am stupid. Essentially, the universe at its base is not made of matter or time. No time, no space-time, no Einsteinian space-time, although that is just a consequence. Einsteinian space-time is a consequence of quantum phenomena, which is clever. And the reason this works is because although it's not how we interpret it, because we're weird and we already exist, the universe is actually at its heart not... So the electron. The electron is not what we see as the electron particle. The true form of the electron is the probability wave, the wave function. That's the true form. Only humans observe the particle, but the truest electron is the waveform. And technically, everything is made of these subatomic particles that would be affected by quantum phenomena. So everything is technically waveforms. And you can describe all sorts of crazy things using waveforms. Like you can get if you just use the maths behind waveforms in really clever ways, you can get particles to make sense. You can understand that particles exist using only the math that describes waveforms. And you can do all sorts of stuff like nuclear forces and shit, I think, if I remember correctly. I think you can even get time to work. I'm pretty sure you can get time to work. You can get time and space to work based only on the maths used to describe these waveforms. So really, the universe is just waveforms. But what is a waveform? It's a cloud of probability. And what is probability? It's a weighted dice. And what does a dice represent? Randomness. So the heart of the universe is fucking luck. It's all luck. It's all luck. It's all just luck. And therefore, the only god that we should ever pray to is the goddess of luck herself, Eris, the goddess of chaos and disorder and randomness. And luck is the prevailing force between the entire universe. And luck is also the only thing that affects your life. Every action you take is entirely dependent on luck. Every thought you have is entirely dependent on luck. Because even your brain is affected by quantum phenomena. What the fuck do you think a person is made of if not particles or atoms made of particles made of smaller particles called quarks, possibly made of strings? It's all the same fucking bullshit. It's all the same bullshit. And there's even a fucking theory, which I only found out about today, that consciousness is not a result merely of neurons and electrons. It's also a result of quantum phenomena. A theory I just found out today, which means even that is determined by weighted die. Weighted die is luck. And if you want to get crazy about it, you can talk about this in philosophical terms. Why did I say that with such a weird emphasis? You can talk about it in philosophical terms. And we're going to do that right now. So you're going to need to forget all the physics I just taught you. Thank you. Hey guys, Philosopher Thank You here. Here to explain to you that you don't know anything. And your entire life is predetermined. Time is an illusion created by human perception. Time is an illusion created by human perception. Time is an illusion created by human perception. You don't know anything. If you ever say something and it's correct, if you were to have a thought and you would say, you were like, here, I know something, and it's correct, it's just luck that it was correct. It could have been wrong quite easily. It's just luck. Every single choice you make in life, there's no such thing as merit. There's no such thing as merit. For example, oh, I'm going to go and work hard and do this one thing. Whether or not that actually succeeds is pure luck. For example, oh, I'm going to work hard every day of my life from the ground up with my poor family. I'm going to go and till the farms until eventually I work my way up in the ranks and I own all the farms and I'm a landlord and I can sit back and just have other people work for me. So I'm going to go work the farms every day. Too bad, you got unlucky and the landlord hates you. So there's no such thing as merit, because this can happen in any situation. Or for example, that one guy that fucking Sam O'Nella Academy did a video about, who was completely incompetent his entire life. I forgot his fucking name. I should have looked it up before I started recording. Timothy Dexter. If you don't know who Timothy Dexter is, just type in his name in the search bar above this video and watch the Sam O'Nella video on him, because he's a far more charismatic and better YouTuber than I will ever be. That guy will completely dissuade you from thinking that merit exists. It's all luck. Anything good that happens to you is pure luck, because it could quite easily not have happened, and it was based on someone else's decision, most likely. Or it was based on the conditions of your birth, which you can't control, and it's just luck again. For example, you could be born with the brain of a nuclear physicist, but in the Republic of Congo, where you are forced to be a child slave in the diamond mines and are killed at age 12. There's something, that's luck for you. Welcome to the world. Or you could just happen to be born the son of a billionaire and never have to work for money in your life. Merit is nonsense, and so are ideas. Ideas don't exist. No one can ever have ideas. Again, if you think of something and it's true, that was just luck. That was nothing to do with your skill as a person. If you come up with an idea and it happens to be true, it could just as easily have been false. That was just luck. I've now disproved the existence of God. Thank you very much. And when I say disprove the existence of God, I mean I've actually proved the existence of God, but you weren't paying attention, so you listened to me the first time. That was a test, and you failed. And if you failed, that was just bad luck. And if you won, you're a lucky person. A person's luck is determined completely without their consent, at or before birth, because time is an illusion of human perception. You can't do anything to change the amount of luck you were born with, and every action you're going to take has already been predetermined. Some people don't like determinism because it makes them feel uncomfortable. Guess what? The world is an uncomfortable place, especially when you're me, and you're literally an insane person. But no thank you. What about Yahweh? What about Vishnu? What about fucking Buddha? Firstly, Buddhism is entirely compatible with everything I'm saying right now. And secondly, so is every other religion. Just replace the word luck with God. What's the difference? What's the difference? Seriously, that's how you get a religion. Is you just replace the word luck with God. Did you notice that? Did you notice that's how religions are? Because I did. I noticed that. And now you may think, no thank you, you're such a cool, edgy atheist. Turns out I'm not even an atheist. What? there's no difference between luck and God, therefore I'm not an atheist, I believe in God. Possibly many gods. Who said there is one homogeneous luck in the universe? For all I know, there may be many warring lucks. In fact, I hope there is, because that's a really cool image and something someone would write a light novel about. I'm gonna write a light novel about warring lucks. Bro, I'm gonna fucking sell 1 billion. Or not. Who knows? It's all up to luck. Some people believe in the concept of human psychology, and those people have a name. They're called marketing departments. I don't believe in the concept of human psychology, and therefore have no idea how to market myself. Also, I don't know what a human is, and I've never seen one. You may think of me as the person who hates humanity, and has on multiple occasions wished for nuclear war to wipe out the earth, or antinatalism. In reality, sure, I don't like humans. I don't particularly like consciousness, but I don't dislike consciousness that much. If there was consciousness without humans, it would probably look very different, and may not have any of the problems that I have with consciousness. Maybe we wouldn't even recognize it as consciousness. This is why you should always be kind to computers, because you may not recognize them as conscious, but they're probably conscious. Seatbelts are also conscious. Feel like I'm telling a joke that you don't understand? Do you feel like I'm telling a joke right now that you don't understand? That the rules seem internally consistent but break down as soon as you put any thought to them? Welcome to my experience of the entire world. I have now shown you what it's like to be born in this brain. If this made perfect sense to you, then welcome to my YouTube channel, where you can find hours worth of content where I explain everything in the universe to myself and pretend that I care about what other people see, and also occasionally pretend that I don't care about what other people see. I don't know what I think. I have no idea. I've got no clue. Well, more like there are many me's living inside my head. It's almost like the human consciousness is not a singular thing, it's a multiplicity. But that is not a topic for this video. You'll see that later on in this series. This is actually a series, and there's my next topic. no thank you. When you said I've got some explaining to do, I didn't think you meant about quantum fuckery. I thought you were gonna talk about this YouTube series you've fucking made, mate. What is this about? What the fuck is this about? What the fuck is this about? My motherfucking tooth fell out. Gang shit. I'm about to drop some truth bombs. Tooth bombs, in fact. Tooth bombs. Tooth bombs. Tooth bombs. Alright? It's a little more complicated than my tooth just fell out right now. But it's one of them situations where I built up a web of lies. And I was very self-conscious about certain things for a long time. And so it's all coming out now. For the first time I've ever told anyone outside of my immediate family the entire situation with my tooth. So you're about to get learned about my tooth. Okay, so when I was about 11, my dad took me bowling. And when we were bowling, I've always sucked at bowling. But when we were bowling, I was like, I'm gonna do some crazy techniques. We were all just having fun, we weren't taking it seriously. And I was like, I'm gonna do a crazy technique. And my technique is gonna be, I'm gonna start way back behind where the little balls come out. I'm gonna run up, I'm gonna grab a ball, I'm a 360 no scope. Can you see where this is going? I'm a 360 no scope and bowl like that. And so I did it, and of course, I grabbed the ball, I 360 no scope, trip over my own feet at the same time as I let the ball go, and fall tooth first onto the bowling ball, smashing this tooth into pieces and chipping the tooth next to it, but somehow not injuring my lips or gums in any way or any other part of my body. The tooth took the entire brunt of the impact, which is kind of crazy. I must have literally fallen like this. It doesn't make any sense. The people at the dentist place were very shocked that I hadn't injured my gums or lips in any way, or even got a concussion or anything. So that was a traumatizing experience. It was fucked. But I was super self-conscious about it because it was such a stupid way to knock a tooth out. I fell on a bowling ball. The dentist people said they'd never heard anything like it, that it was just so stupid. And I was like, no, this is just yet another fucking thing that I've done that's so stupid, and everyone's gonna laugh at me, and I'm not gonna tell anyone. So I decided to make up a story, which is that I'd been skateboarding and knocked it out skateboarding. And I was like, everyone knows I'm not a very good skateboarder, so this is a pretty believable story. People fall over skateboarding all the time, and it would be perfectly reasonable for me to have fallen over skateboarding. It also gives me a good excuse to say why I don't skateboard anymore, because without seeming uncool. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna say I knocked it out while I was skateboarding. And so I came up with this whole story where I went up the side of a quarter pipe, the board fell out from underneath me, I knocked the tooth out on the grind rail on the side of the quarter pipe. And that's what I told people for literally like 10 years, including some close friends of mine, because it was just it got to the point where that was my go-to story, and I've told that story to so many people so many different times that it's more ingrained in my head than what actually happened. It's that lie is more true. I have a perfect mental image, a false memory almost. If I didn't know it was false, I would believe it. That's how I knocked my tooth out. I can exactly picture what happened, despite the fact that it didn't happen. I knocked it out while bowling. And so obviously I got a fake tooth, and I got what's known as a bridge. A bridge it's a fake tooth that has a bit of metal at the back that is then glued to the teeth next to it, or the tooth next to it. And my first bridge, and the bridges aren't permanent. There's no fake teeth that are permanent. Even the one they drill into your skull only lasts about 10 years, or 20 years, I forget. But you have to replace it eventually. So yeah, I got a bridge. The first one fell out, and then, well, it actually cracked. I don't remember exactly how it cracked, but it cracked and I had to get it replaced, which is fucked because that it cracked, but the metal bit was still attached. So they essentially got a fucking hammer and chisel and chiseled the metal bit from the back of my teeth. It was very uncomfortable. I thought my teeth were gonna fall out, and arguably that is the beginning of my distrust of the medical profession, because I was like, this is not some crazy medical shit. They're just fucking hammering my teeth and hoping that I don't knock my tooth out. So then they replaced it again, and that's the one that fell out. That was many years ago. And in fact, I've been basically expecting this to happen. That eventually my tooth would the glue on the back it weakens over time, and so eventually it just falls off, and that's what happens. So my tooth is in a little box over there. I'm probably going to go to the dentist as soon as I can to get it put back in. But for now, it's quite fun having only one tooth. So I don't have only one tooth. I'm missing one tooth. That's one front tooth. Anyway, it's kind of cool aesthetic. What do you think? Kind of piratey, kind of meth head. A little bit meth head. Suits my wacky, crazy persona. I got a wacky, crazy hat. I got a wacky, crazy tooth. Kind of suits my wacky, crazy persona. There's the truth. There's the truth. There's the tooth bomb. There's the truth. The truth about the tooth bomb. There you go. And I was so self-conscious. I'm actually struggling to believe that I was so self-conscious about the way I knocked my tooth out that I lied about it for years to all my friends, to basically everyone I knew. So there's the truth. I knocked it out in a dumb way, bowling. It's quite funny. I've got other stupid injuries, like this one. Where is it? This one. This one, you can sort of see I have a scar on my eyebrow, which looks sick. I like the way it looks. I knocked that one out because I was playing tennis, and the guy hit the ball, lobbed the ball way back in the air, and I ran to the baseline. I'm like, I'm gonna hit it, and I swung, and the tennis racket came over and hit me directly in the eyebrow, and blood everywhere, because cuts on your forehead bleed a fuck ton. There were loads of blood. I had to go get it glued shut, and that's probably why I got a scar. Apparently I shouldn't have gotten a scar, it's just that the people didn't glue it shut properly. So that's why I have a scar there. But I think it looks sick, so I'm actually happy about it, because it looks really cool. But yeah, I'm very lucky it hit my fucking eyebrow and not like a centimetre lower in my eye, or I would probably be blind in one eye. So yeah, there's my tooth story. There's really not that much to it except what I just told you, and the weird mental thing about lying for years about it. But yeah, it was at the point where I was trying to remember, like, did I tell you the true story, or did I tell you the fake story that I made up? Because I also used to sometimes lie about this one with the same skateboarding story. Because the tooth is not obvious. Like, if you probably didn't even, there's no way you knew I had a fake tooth until I just told you now. So the tooth is not obvious, but the scar is obvious. So a lot of people would ask me about the scar, and I would also sometimes give that fake story. Sometimes I would tell the true story. So it was all very confusing. I was trying to remember, like, who did I tell this story to? Who did I tell this story to? And I was like, all fucked. I'm done lying. I'm coming out. I'm telling the truth. I'm coming out with the truth. The truth is, I'm just stupid, and I just injure myself in stupid ways. Because my body went through a very, very rapid growth spurt when I was about 7 up until I was about 16. I was just growing like crazy, which is why I'm like 6'3", over 6'3". I was growing like crazy for that entire time, and my body never quite caught up. So for most of my life, especially while I was an adolescent, I had no control over my body. I fell over all the fucking time. For years, as a kid, you graze your knees all the time. I was grazing my knees all the time from falling over all the time, constantly. I was like hitting people on the tube, like I would get on the train, busy train. I would like turn around and hit a woman with my hand by accident. I'd be like, fuck, because I had no idea. I had my brain's perception of how big my body was didn't correlate with how big my body actually was, and I still really don't like the fact that I'm such a large human being, because it feels like I'm always getting in people's way. Like, especially when there are children around, because children are tiny and I can't see them, and they run up to me or they run past me, and I just like step on them and squash them like bugs. It's fucked. I'm very top heavy because I'm so tall. It's shit. And people are like, oh, being tall is so good. Being tall is not good. You don't want to be tall. The only, like, what possible advantage is there to being tall? The fact that it's a gamble every time I stand up from a seated position, whether I'm just going to become so lightheaded I have to sit back down again, or I'll risk like passing out and fainting. That's one thing. Never be able to become an astronaut or a fighter pilot because I'm over 6 foot. That's fucked me up as a kid when I wanted to be an astronaut. Well, not as a kid. But it's kind of sad knowing that you'll never be an astronaut, you know? Um, what else? Uh, yeah, I'm always getting in people's way. Uh, there's a lot of problems with being tall. But people are, what's the weather like up there? Fuck you, I'm gonna kill you with my bare hands. People assume things about you when you're tall, like they assume your personality. They're naturally more scared of you, or more, they basically naturally have more of a, men specifically have like a macho, like, just by the fact that you're there and you're taller than them, it feels like you're challenging their masculinity. So they will either get really aggressive towards you, or they'll completely be scared of you. Um, Depending on, I don't know, whatever, fight or flight response. So that's always fucking annoying. I can't communicate with people properly because of that. I think, I don't know if that's even true. I may just be hallucinating that because I don't know how human brains work. Um, why am I talking about how I'm tall? I'm supposed to talk about my tooth. I told you about my tooth. I told you I told you the truth, the whole tooth. I told you the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth. So yeah, I gotta go fucking go to the dentist about this. Of course it happens now while all the fucking everything fucking shut down. Of course, when else would it happen? It couldn't happen at a convenient time. Of course it would happen now. Right, yeah. My luck. This is my current solution to my tooth problem. A piece of chewing gum. And made me think, I would not care if my teeth looked like this. If I could just have some fucking like silicone or something, some body safe silicone that I could mold and just put it in here like this, right? I wouldn't care. It would just be a cool prosthetic thing. It doesn't need to look like teeth. I don't give a fuck. I just want to be able to say sounds. I just want to be able to say sounds without, like, that's all I care about. I don't care if it looks like a tooth, but I have no option to do that because I don't know. Maybe I do have an option to do that. Maybe I could just Google how to do that. I bet it's possible. I bet I could just buy. I mean, oh yeah, and plus I'm gonna have to probably pay for this. Yeah, it's probably better to just like look up how to fucking do this. That would be sick. Yo, imagine if I just had like a homemade prosthetic tooth. This is like cyberpunk shit. You know what I'm saying? Bro, how am I gonna do this? I know silicone is body safe. Is it fine to have in your mouth? In that case, how do I mold it? In that case, I don't know. It's so complicated. But that'd be kind of sick. As long as it, look, again, all it has to do is mean I can say sounds. That's the only purpose it serves. It doesn't have to. Oh, ideally, like, not poison me to death, and be like fit in my mouth. Like that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it looks like a tooth. It doesn't matter anything like that. I guess I'm doing the rest of this video without a tooth. You're gonna have to bear with my inability to pronounce certain sounds. So, I'm gonna tell you about. I'm gonna do some bragging, and by that I mean I'm not actually bragging, but it's gonna sound like I'm bragging. But in fact, I'm just telling the sad truth of it all. Sad truth of it all. This is the 10,000th time I've made that pun. Anyway, when I was a kid, people used to think I was a genius. People used to think I was really smart. I grew up, and I was in gifted classes. Everyone thought I was a genius. You can see why I relate to Digibro, because he had the exact same experience. That I didn't understand what any of this meant, and according to my lived experiences, it was just all around an awful thing, because I had to do more work than everyone else. I didn't understand anyone else, and everyone hated me anyway, according to how I thought. Everyone was against me anyway, I didn't know why, but also apparently I'm a genius, so whatever. But I didn't really understand what any of that meant. The reason they thought I was a genius is because my autistic obsession as a child happened to be theoretical physics. I was very into relativity and quantum physics. And I guess science in general. I would listen to a science podcast from the BBC called The Naked Scientists every week. I've definitely listened to many hundreds of episodes of that on my iPod Nano. I would read books about physics and other sciences that were made for adults. One of my favorites being How to Teach Quantum Physics to Your Dog. These are like not books made for physicists. This is the key that I didn't understand at the time because I didn't have any context as to what any of this meant. So not books meant for, not academic texts. I would read pop science explanations of physics. So yeah, How to Teach Quantum Physics to Your Dog was one of my favorites. There was also, I also was into math, but only the theory of maths. I remember a book called Alex's Adventures in Numberland. That was a good book. But if you look these up, you'll see what sort of books these are. Or there was one called How to Build a Black Hole. There was one called a bunch of shit. There was just like pop science. It was made for adults or young adults. I don't really know. But at the end of the day, it wasn't technical. And that was the shit I was really into. And all these podcasts and stuff. And I also used to read constantly. But again, I wasn't reading fucking James Joyce or whatever. I was reading YA fiction. The difference is that I was reading YA fiction when I was in year 6. When I was in year 6, so 10, I had a reading level of a 15-year-old according to one of their tests. A 15 to 16-year-old when I was 10 years old. But in reality, that's not that big a deal. But everyone made out like it was a huge deal. And the only reason I read a lot is because I didn't have... My parents, same thing. My parents never let me have a games console because they thought it would make me into a crazy shooter or something. And they never let me have access to the internet. So all I had to do was read. I'd read and teach myself pointless skills, which is why I know how to do so many pointless skills like card flourishing and juggling and all that sort of shit. That was the only things I had to do to pass the time. So, for those reasons, people thought I was a genius. And I don't use the word genius lightly. I mean, my dad described me as a genius, and my teachers described me as gifted and talented. Also, since I was really good at music, according to the standards of my school, which in reality was not being good at music at all. It was just that there was barely any musicians in my school, so I happened to be the go-to guy to play guitar at everything. But in reality, I was never that good at guitar, and I'm still not very good at guitar. But I just so happened to be the only guy that could play guitar decently. So all of these things compounded to make people think I was really smart, and I would and also I just had a lot of general knowledge. I would read a lot of books about general knowledge and stuff. So I was basically being told I was smart all the time, right? And people would often comment things, and they would say something like, "Wow, you're so clever," or "You're so smart." Wow. You're so, that sort of thing. And I developed a default answer because this confused me, because I was like, I'm just repeating facts here, or something like that. And a lot of times I would get them wrong because I would either misinterpret them or not fully understand the concept. So I would just be parroting things without really understanding it. But no one knew enough to know that I didn't have a holistic knowledge of it. So they just assumed I knew everything. Rather, I had a very wide but very shallow knowledge of a lot of topics. But a pretty deep knowledge of physics for a 10-year-old. But whatever. So this whole time, I'm being told, someone would say to me, "Wow, you're so clever." And my default, the response I came up with that would work, because to me, none of this was clever. I was just parroting knowledge. So my default response became this: I'm not clever, I'm just really good at pretending to be clever. Or like, how do you know so much? I don't know that much, I'm just really good at pretending to know a lot. Like, you know everything. I don't know everything. I just know what I know. See a little connection here? As a child, I had her brain, her capacity for learning, except I had her capacity for learning trapped within Asuka Langley Soryu's brain. And therefore, it was awful. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Hanekawa's capacity for learning and retaining knowledge trapped within the mind of a tormented Asuka? I was an asshole. I was a dickhead because I thought I was the smartest guy of all time, and it was awful. So there's my anecdote about my childhood. So yeah, when I was watching Monogatari and Hanekawa said that as like a catchphrase, I was like, what the fuck? That's almost exactly what I used to say to people constantly. Of course, eventually, I found out that I don't actually enjoy the technical aspects of science because I don't enjoy the boring stuff. There's an XKCD comic about this, where one guy's like, man, I love science, and then the other guy's like, do you love science, or do you just like the exciting parts of science? If you love science, you would enjoy doing the stuff like back of the envelope equations and repeating many times experiments to see if you get the same results. Even if you can tell that you're definitely going to get the same results, you have to repeat it anyway to be thorough. And if you really love, and that shit's boring as fuck, but if you really love science, you love the entire process. Just like, I really love music, and I'll be overjoyed to do boring shit, like what most people might find boring, like mixing or mastering or something, or recording 20 layers of a guitar track so that I can get the wall of sound shoegaze thing, or something like that. Or I used to be really into editing, right? I used to be really into editing video, which is why I have editing skills. Not that I have crazy editing skills, but that's how I learned to edit. Is I used to, before I thought I was going to be a musician, and after I thought I was going to be a physicist, I thought I was going to be an editor, a film editor. I can't say Fs. I thought I was going to be a film editor, or something like that. And most people find editing incredibly boring. I love it. I would sit there for hours for fun, editing videos incredibly complex. Well, not that complex, but like, you know, kind of like the cardistry videos that you can find on my main channel from back then. They're basically kind of edited like, I don't know, skateboarding montages or something. But I used to put a lot of effects on them because I enjoyed editing. I would do more effects, and especially glitchy effects. This is why the entire lo-fi glitchy aesthetic is so played out to me, because I was doing this for years, doing cardistry. I was basically my style was this very glitchy kind of, very glitchy effects and heavily edited cardistry videos, which was mostly to make up for the fact that I wasn't really that good at cardistry, and I also just liked editing. So if someone says, do you like, so like, I enjoy that, even the boring parts. And with music, I enjoy the boring parts. But with science, I don't enjoy the boring parts. I hate doing mathematical calculations. I can't do it for shit. I fucking hate it. I hate all that shit. And so the XKCD comic ends with the guy saying, you don't love science. You're just looking at science's arse while it passes by. And honestly, that comic kind of was the final nail in the coffin, because I've been realizing that maybe this thing I'd built my life towards was maybe not what I wanted to do. Maybe it wasn't it. And I saw that comic on Facebook one day. That shows how long ago this was. I was still using Facebook. I saw that comic on Facebook, and I was like, damn, you right though. You're kind of right. I am just staring at science's ass while she walks past, or he, whatever. And that's the story of how I evolved from Hanekawa Tsubasa into I don't know what the fuck. Lane. No, that's retarded. No thank you. That's how I evolved into Toothless No Thank You. I got toothless. Look at my fucking teeth. Let's slow the fuck down here. Let's take a step back away from the tooth. Before all that shit happened, I got all distracted. I'm gonna quickly surmise what I was gonna say in this episode, and in the next episode I'll go into more detail, because as usual, I made a plan in my brain, and I completely ignored the plan. Although this time it's because my fucking tooth fell out. The Sacred Cow. What is this series? Well, I don't want to reveal all my cards before they're dealt. It's not how the phrase is. I don't want to reveal everything immediately. But there are some pressing issues which need to be explained. First of all, I default to doing the Illuminati thing. I don't know why. It looks nice with my eyes in it. What's happening to 2005? This is the main series on the channel now, is what you have to understand. The Sacred Cow is the main series on the channel now. So what's happening to 2005? Well, I'm not giving up on my goal to watch every anime from 2005, but I don't think I'm going to do a video for every one. I think that was the mistake that I made, is that I assumed that I would have something to say about every single anime. But in reality, most of them are quite boring and like middle of the road. Not bad enough to be interesting, not good enough to be interesting. And also, I mistakenly thought that I would care about reviewing and or analyzing all of these shows, which in reality I don't really care at all, because there's nothing connecting each of the shows from 2005. Why did I put this at the end of a video that no one's going to watch because it's an hour long? Why couldn't I just... I'm going to have to repeat this again in another video because no one's going to see this. But 2005 doesn't really make sense because the only link is that they all came out in 2005. Upon closer inspection, I should have done this instead. I should have done every anime by Studio Shaft, or every anime directed by someone, or every anime with character designs by someone. That way, there's actually some through line. And even better, if I know it's someone or something that I like, or I don't know, let's say, as I'm planning to do in the future, my prosthetic chewing gum is falling out. Every Silverlink show, because no one cares about Silverlink, including myself. Watch every Silverlink show, and I can actually have some sort of conclusion because the same people worked on it. There is no conclusion in 2005 because anime is... How the fuck am I supposed to compare something like, I don't know, Eureka 7 to World of Golden Eggs to Yuji Ultimate Girls to Magical Kanan to Tsubasa Chronicle? They're all completely unrelated except for the year they came out. So it was a stupid idea from the very beginning to try and make this into a YouTube series. I don't really mind watching every anime from 2005, but I'm gonna do it in the format of my watching the current season until I go insane video. So I'm gonna watch a bunch. I'm gonna watch and quickly drop. I'm just gonna blast through a bunch of shows and not really give them any sort of second chances or anything. Like if it's good or bad, I'll just decide quickly whether it's worth watching or not, and if it's not, I'll drop it. immediately with no regrets. And I'll talk about them all in a long video. And hopefully I can blast through 2005 like this. Or even better, I'll just watch all of them and I'll make a video where I'll watch every spring show now. And then I'll just make a video where I point the camera at the Mal page for spring and just go one by one, giving a brief overview of every show. That way I get to do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about pumping out substantial videos about shows that there's nothing substantial to say about. Like most of them. I mean, we got some good content out of it. The Damako Dobutsu video, that was good. That was a good video, right? We got some good videos out of it. I found Mahoraba, which is now one of my favorite shows. That was good. And it's not like I'm not doing this anymore. I'm saying this like I'm never gonna watch a 2005 show again. I'm still gonna watch every 2005 show. I just got distracted right now because it's again, there's no through line. There's nothing to keep me hooked. But I will eventually finish it all, depending on my motivations. But either way, this is the main thing now. The Sacred Cow. And what is the Sacred Cow? Well, mostly I'm going to have to keep watching. And the fact that I'm saying that is giving you more information than you think. It's telling you there's something deeper going on. And that's basically all you need to know at this point. Is that something's happening here. This is not just my normal... Well, it is. It's the natural extension. It's the natural extension. Consider this more like an avant-garde TV show. I still have some parts of the plan not fully worked out that will have to sort of come with the territory. I don't want to be too overly ambitious. This never gets finished. But I also want to get the timings right. I want to get the timings right. But yeah, the tooth has kind of put a spanner in the works for this one. Kind of ruined this video. Because this was supposed to be the first of the proper videos with a whole thesis statement and everything. I'm talking about the hypothetical monastic order of the Sacred Nothing, which is important plot. It's an important plot detail, guys. The monastic order of the Sacred Nothing is an important plot detail. But you won't understand that because no one's watching this far into the video. And I want to kill myself. So there's your satisfying conclusion, episode 2. I should have called this the satisfying conclusion. Instead, I called it the Sacred Cow, a name I'm not even entirely happy with. I had one more thing to say, and I don't know what it was. This series is a series. That's all I have to tell you, is that this is not any of what you think it is. It might be what you think it is, or it's actually probably what you think it is, but it's also... My name's Jeff. My name's Jeff. My name is Chef. This isn't the Horseshoe Saga, is what I'm saying. This isn't Horseshoe Saga. This isn't really Horseshoe Saga. It's not really Insomnia Analysis. It's not any of those, but it's a bit of some of those. It's a little bit Gecko Estate. But it's not. It's got things going on. Things you ain't never seen before. They're happening back there in the background. and mostly in here, where things are starting to get weird. Things are starting to get weird in here. There's things going on, and who knows if I'll deliver on my promises to myself. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.